Welcome to another episode of Wicked Weird with New England Queenie. I'm New England Queenie. Last week we talked about the cryptid Bigfoot and the possibility of what this being may be. I also shared my own theory of the existence of Bigfoot and how I believe this cryptid came to be. Regardless of what it is or how it ended up here, the evidence to support the existence of this creature is abundant. I already suspect the government is involved with Sasquatch in some way, and the disclosure of this will hopefully occur right alongside of the UAPs. There are many cryptids on this planet, and the possibility of their existence can be argued by those who have claimed to have seen them. Some of these witnesses have even photographed them. We aren't talking about current photos. These are photos taken pre-Photoshop and with a regular camera by people who weren't even searching for them. For witnesses who were awestruck at the time, the images of these creatures are burned into their brains. It is difficult for our minds to wrap around seeing something we have believed not to have existed during our entire lives. Seeing any one of them would cause many, including myself, to freeze in shock and awe. There is one cryptid that is only a short drive from me in the New England state of Vermont, right on Lake Champlain. Join me as we examine the mystery surrounding this lake monster in Wicked Weird with New England Queenie, Episode 5, Champ, the Dinosaur in Lake Champlain. I originally was going to talk about the Loch Ness Monster in this episode until I remembered Champ and the evidence of their existence. For those who are unfamiliar with Champ, then today is your lucky day. If you are in upstate New York along Lake Champlain, then you probably already know some of the great stories about sightings, just like the folks in Vermont. Champ has inspired athletic teams, t-shirts, souvenirs of all kinds, and a lucrative tourist industry, especially for interested cryptid researchers. But for when the legend of this cryptid began, we need to go back over several centuries to a time before European settlers arrived in the New World. The Iroquois legend of a giant serpent in the waters of the lake. The Mohawk named him Unyare Koa, meaning giant snake. To the local tribes surrounding the lake from what is now Vermont and New York to the province of Quebec in Canada, this creature was part of the folklore passed down from generation to generation. Samuel de Champlain, a French cartographer, founder of Quebec and now the lake's namesake, is believed to have been the first European to see the lake monster in 1609. According to local lore, he claimed the 20-foot serpent was as thick as a barrel and had a horse-like head. Although none of this shows up in any known documentation by Champlain, the legend continues to flourish and adds some legitimacy to the myth of Champ. Over the years since then, there have been over 300 reported sightings of Champ. In 1819, a report entitled Cape Ann Serpent on Lake Champlain, found in the Plattsburgh Republican, tells of a gigantic snake-like monster by a Captain Crumb. He estimated the lake monster to be 187 feet long and roughly 200 yards away from him. He went on to describe it having 3 teeth, eyes the color of peeled onions, and a red belt marking its neck with a white star shape on its forehead. As he watched the creature in the water, he could see 2 large sturgeon and a billfish following behind it. It wasn't just civilians who reported seeing the monster. Sheriff Nathan H. Mooney reported he had seen Champ from 110 yards away while he was on shore. He claimed to be close enough to see round white spots inside its mouth and described the length to roughly 25 to 30 feet long. Once the sheriff reported his sighting, more alleged eyewitnesses began to come forward with their own sightings. The legend of Champ was captivating for everyone who heard it, especially the famed P.T. Barnum. He wanted to have this monster and even offered up rewards in 1873 and 1887 to anyone who could bring him Champ. I can only imagine the excitement surrounding the rewards, and I'm sure there was quite a rush by hunters and researchers to find this lake monster and claim this prize. Lucky for Champ, no one found him. Something amazing did happen, though, in 1977. The Mancy family was on vacation at the lake on a beautiful sunny day, and Sandra Mancy, the mother, stood on shore taking pictures. This is where the most spectacular photo to date was taken of Champ. Before Photoshop and digital cameras, Mrs. Mancy saw the head of what appeared to be a dinosaur rise up out of the water and look around. She was shocked, as anyone would be, and froze in astonishment, with her eyes fixated on this creature, while her brain tried to process what she was seeing. In that moment, she did manage to yell for her kids to get out of the lake and to snap one photograph of the lake monster before it sank back under the water. If you haven't seen this photo, you need to. It is possibly the best visual evidence proving some dinosaurs did survive the mass extinction 65 million years ago. Champ is suspected of being plesiosaur, an aquatic dinosaur that breathes air, has a long neck, and flippers. I know what you're thinking. You're listening to this and thinking there is no way they could have survived this long without us finding them before, and they are way too big to live in a lake, right? Well, if you take a look at Lake Champlain, you would see it connects to the St. Lawrence River, which then connects to the ocean. This could provide a way for the lake monster to travel back and forth from the ocean at will. Using this waterway, Champ would be able to live in the ocean, but travel back to the lake when it needs to. My theory here is there are more than one Champ, and when we see one in the lake, it could be a juvenile or a mother to juveniles who swam up from the ocean via the St. Lawrence River to birth her young. In the lake, they are the biggest thing in there, but in the ocean, there are predators that can easily attack them. It would only make sense to birth the young in the lake where they would be protected in virtually an aquatic nursery away from predators. So now we know how they could exist and probably why we don't see them all the time. But you don't think they survived the mass extinction event that killed off almost everything on Earth 66 million years ago. Well, if Champ is a dinosaur that survived, they wouldn't be the first animal from this time to continue its existence beyond the extinction. We can start with an easy one that everyone knows. Sharks have been around for millions of years and never really had to adapt to survive. They are relatively perfect killing machines and really are the top predators in the ocean. Although not all species of sharks may have made it through the extinction, the ones that did thrived. We aren't even sure how long they live, and some have been determined to be over 400 years old. Given that, it's a fair question to ask how long dinosaurs actually did live, and if they were also able to live hundreds of years. More proof of the possibility of Champ existing is a large bony fish, also thought to have been extinct for 66 million years, called the coelacanth. Only seen in fossils, these fish were thought to have gone the way of the dinosaurs during the mass extinction. That was until 1938, when fishermen caught a live specimen off the coast of South Africa. From 1938 until 1975, 84 coelacanths were caught and recorded. They are estimated to live approximately 100 years, although we're not 100% sure of that. What we do know is they do not reach maturity until they are 55 years old, and the gestation of the young can last 5 years. So, let's apply this to Champ. Like sharks and coelacanths, Champ is aquatic. It is my theory that the plesiosaur could have survived because they are aquatic. If sharks and coelacanths survived the extinction, then the common factors are longevity and being aquatic. If the oceans provided some protection for these creatures, allowing them to survive as a species for 66 million years after they should have disappeared from the face of the earth, then it is a possibility an aquatic dinosaur could also have survived the event because it was in the ocean at the time. And as mentioned before, since we don't know how long they lived, they could quite possibly live for over 100 years, or even many hundreds of years like sharks. More recently, in the summer of 2005, a video of Champ was taken by a fisherman and his stepson. This video was closely examined by 2 retired FBI forensic image analysts who agreed the video was authentic and had not been manipulated in any way. What is on the film is what was really there. It showed a plesiosaur-like creature and even had frames where it opened and closed its mouth. The Discovery Channel aired a program showing the recordings of sounds captured in Lake Champlain that sounded quite similar to beluga whales. Interestingly enough, whales did evolve from aquatic dinosaurs, and who is to say that Champ isn't one of them? There have been alligator-like tracks found on the shores of the lake, but there are no crocodile species in the northeast. I believe those are not tracks by Champ, and most likely belong to a large turtle from the area, since an aquatic dinosaur would likely have only flippers. So, what do I believe? I believe Champ is real, and it is a plesiosaur species that survived the mass extinction event 66 million years ago, just like the sharks and the coelacanths. I believe this cryptid travels the waterways of the St. Lawrence River back and forth to the ocean from the lake. The native tribes of the area believed in this beast long before Europeans came here. This was not just a story. Variations of aquatic monsters similar to Champ are seen all over the world in different countries. The Loch Ness Monster, Ogopogo, and Mekele Mbembe, just to name a few. These are cryptids that I believe are all related to each other in a sense that they are all some kind of dinosaur species that survived extinction. Locals have reported sightings for decades before we had television and instant communications like telephones. This isn't a case of copycat sightings to gain fame or attention. These are real animals that need to be studied and protected. I have gone to Burlington, Vermont in search of Champ myself, though it was 20 years ago. I didn't see Champ as hard as I looked out at the water. We crossed the bridge into New York and I thought maybe I saw something in the lake, but it was a trick of the light on the water. In spite of my disappointment, the trip wasn't a total waste of time. I did tour the Vermont Teddy Bear Factory and Ben & Jerry's ice cream facility. So, if you were up in Vermont or New York searching for Champ, just remember, it's a lot more fun to search when eating some Ben & Jerry's fish food and holding a Vermont teddy bear. I didn't leave Vermont empty-handed or without seeing some version of Champ. On the way out of Vermont, I stopped in a shop and picked up a mini Champ of my own. Maybe someday I will get back up there and look for Champ again. But for now, the little Champ will just have to do. That's all we have time for this week. I hope you enjoyed episode 5 of Wicked Weird with New England Queenie, Champ, the dinosaur of Lake Champlain, just as much as I enjoyed talking to you. If you have a Wicked Weird story you would like to share, email us at wickedweirdpodcast@newenglandqueenie.com, and you could be a guest on an upcoming episode. Visit the website newenglandqueenie.com and click on Shop to check out some Wicked Weird merchandise. We have free shipping for all purchases in the United States. Please like, share, and subscribe for more Wicked Weird stuff and to be alerted to new episodes when they drop. I hope to see you again next week. Until then, this is New England Queenie. Remember to keep it weird.